All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome back to this explainer covering an absolutely wild weekend at the 2025 Moto3 Argentina Grand Prix. We're looking at round 2 of the championship down at the incredibly fast Termas de Rio Honda circuit. Now, if you're a fan of the lightweight class, you already know this track practically guarantees absolute chaos from lights out all the way to the checkered flag. We're going to break down exactly how this weekend unfolded, using the results and race data to make sense of a truly classic Sunday showdown in South America. So, here is our agenda for today's breakdown. Number 1, the Argentina GP qualifying results. Number 2, fierce race developments. Number 3, that dramatic final lap. And number 4, we'll wrap up with the latest championship standings. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Argentina GP qualifying results, setting the grid. Let's see who actually managed to master some seriously tricky conditions on Saturday.
Termas de Rio Hondo. It's a 4.8-kilometer layout featuring 14 corners, 9 right, 5 left. But the main thing to remember here is that this track is an absolute slipstream paradise. Because these lightweight bikes punch such a huge hole in the air, trying to escape the pack on that massive back straight is basically impossible. And to make things even more complicated this weekend, we had overcast skies. That meant lingering wet patches all over the track, making those 14 corners incredibly tricky to navigate. The riders were literally dancing on the edge of grip the entire time.
When it came down to putting together a single flying lap, Matteo Bertelli was just on another planet. What's crazy about this is that Bertelli actually had to battle his way through Q1 just to make the shootout. And then, boom, he goes out and sets an all-time lap record of 1 minute 46.034 seconds, grabbing back-to-back pole positions for 2025. He barely edged out Angel Piqueras by just over 0.2 of a second. Meanwhile, Ryusei Yamanaka, Piqueras' teammate, found some crucial time right at the buzzer on his final flying lap to jump up into third.
Honestly, this is a perfect snapshot of KTM's sheer, raw pace over a single lap this weekend. Bertel, Piqueras, and Yamanaka locked out the entire front row for the Austrian brand. With Honda historically having a massive presence here, seeing KTM sweep the front row like this sent a very loud, clear warning shot about their mechanical grip and straight-line speed heading into Sunday's race.
Moving right along to Section 2, Fierce Race Developments, the green light. With the grid locked in, the lights went out for 18 intense laps of pure Moto3 madness.
When the lights went out, the race developed exactly the way we've come to expect in Argentina. Literally from the chaotic start on lap 1, this massive, inseparable pack formed at the front. For 15 straight laps, we watched a breathless, high-speed game of musical chairs. Guys were trading paint, diving out of the slipstream to pass 3 or 4 bikes at once into the braking zones, only to lose all of those positions on the very next straight. It built up beautifully until lap 16, when Angel Piqueras put his head down and laid down the fastest lap of the race, a blistering 1:47.249. That was a huge signal to the lead group that he had the tire life to dictate the climax of this race. But here's the really crucial point. Throughout all of this insane overtaking, the riders weren't just fighting each other. They were actively fighting the track itself. Because those overcast skies, the lingering wet patches off the ideal racing line simply weren't drying up. So if you got forced even slightly wide during a pass, you risked hitting a damp patch on slick tires. It demanded ultimate precision and kept the tension at an absolute boiling point for the entire 18 laps. Which brings us to Section 3. The dramatic final lap, the checkered flag. Let's see how all this pressure culminated into one of the most spectacular final laps of the season. Let's break down that final sector, because it was wild. As the lead pack bombs into the penultimate corner, basically the very last real passing opportunity on the track, Angel Piqueras aggressively forces his way past Rueda with this brilliant elbows-out maneuver. But, you know Moto3, every action has a reaction. That little scuffle pushed both KTMs a bit wide. And Leopard Racing's Adrian Fernandez, he just opportunistically slipped his Honda right through the gap to steal second place. Despite all that late race chaos erupting right behind him, Angel Piqueras kept his cool driving out of the final corner. The 2024 Rookie of the Year emerges victorious, crossing the line to take his very first win of the 2025 season. It was just an absolute masterclass in timing, controlled aggression, and racecraft from the young Spaniard. So looking at the final podium, it paints a fascinating picture. Piqueras takes the top step, of course, but Fernandez's brilliant split-second move for Honda managed to break up what easily could have been a total KTM podium sweep.
And Jose Antonio Rueda, despite getting roughed up a bit in that penultimate corner pass, still managed to hold on for a super valuable third-place finish.
Okay, on to Section 4, the latest championship standings, the aftermath. After such an intense battle, how does the 2025 World Championship look as we pack up and leave South America?
Well, looking at the updated standings, despite missing out on the win on that final lap, Jose Antonio Rueda's consistency keeps him sitting pretty at the top of the table with 41 points. Adrian Fernandez is right there breathing down his neck in second with 36. But man, Perquera's victory catapults him right into the thick of the title fight, moving up into third with 29 points. Pole sitter Matteo Bertelli sits in fourth with 24, and rookie Alvaro Carpe rounds out the top 5 with a solid 20 points.
Now, what I think is really fascinating here is the dynamic this sets up for the rest of the season. On one side, you have the steady, highly calculated point gathering of Rueda. He knows consistency is how you win championships. On the other side, the aggressive, newfound momentum of Piqueras, who just proved he isn't afraid to force the issue on the final lap to grab a win. It's a classic clash of racing philosophies brewing right in front of our eyes.
The paddock doesn't have long to rest, though. Focus shifts immediately to the extreme stop-and-go layout of the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. COTA is going to present a completely different technical challenge for these bikes compared to the flowing, slipstream nature of Argentina. Setup is going to be drastically different, and the physical toll on these riders is going to be immense.
So, I'll leave you with this to think about as we wrap up this explainer. With the championship battle tightening up so early in the year and the mechanical grip of the KTMs looking so incredible right now, who is going to master those brutal braking zones in Austin? Will KTM continue locking out the front rows, or is Honda's agility going to allow them to steal the momentum on US soil? It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack the Moto3 Argentina GP, and I'll catch you next time.